do a little bit of yoga, right? So one of the things and then for more discussion as we practice, I'll stay on a little bit after for the after hours, the extra stuff of questions and whatever that is, and we can talk more. But so just pay attention a little bit more to your exhale, right? So that's right. But that I want you to practice that as a relief, right? A letting go. So we've been thinking kind of hard here, and there's this, and so remember, there's a part of you that's integrated to the space around you. So part of your nervous system is actually connected to what's around you. And it turns out that and that's not something like the loss that I've encountered in my life is not necessarily I just have to accept. I have to feel, right? And so on exhalation, I start to just quiet down a little bit more. And I let, and when I'm exhaling and not working against gravity, I tend to fall into the vastness of what's below me, right? So that's what you're doing at first. And now, stopping now, I'm going to start this off like it almost seems like Shavasana, right? But we're not. We're trying to allow another level of sensation. So your mind is a subset of what comes in from your body to your brain, right? And then your brain is getting all this information from your body, and it's not used to listening to it. So we're trying to calm down the mind so our brain filters more input to our mind, right? And so softening, like the skin on the forehead, around the temples, the jaw, the inside of the mouth, the organs of perception. This isn't just the letting go, the allowing that comes from that. We're using that to hear more, to allow more input from the brain to my mind of the happening. So now just pay a little bit more attention to the beginning of the inhalation, the spark of it, the expansion of it. But don't lose track of the letting go of the exhalation. So there's an interplay between the letting go, feeling the emptiness, the quiet emptiness, and then filling that with inhalation. And now more overtly add your body. Start lifting your chest. So the inhalation is going to already be lifting your chest some. But now I want you to now feel where your sitting bones are on your feet and sit up a little bit straighter and taller. So now this interplay between exhalation and then inhalation is encountering structure, right? It's happening within structure. Think of the structure as tent pegs on your tent that allows you to realize the inside of your tent, right? If you didn't have the pegs holding down the corners of the tent, the wind would just blow it around, right? You'd have no realization. So the structure of your body, and especially emotionally, a lot of us are afraid of what's quiet. But what if that's the source of your inner resilience? So you now start to hit down with your sitting bones, lift the chest up, press down to the inner edges of your feet, extend up to the top of your head. So now there's a vertical line coming with effort, right? Your brain is now receiving more information because your effort is like turning on the light. But now I want you to do things like broaden across your collarbones and across your back ribs. So you're feeling more of your container. It's becoming more invigorating. And then release. You get to fill the world, right? Doesn't depend on whether I can get upstairs at all my friends' houses, right? So now I just want you to take your left arm up and let it be a stretch here, right? Just let it go and lengthen here, right? And then come back and go the other way. And you're actually listening. You're trying to, how do you feel your skin? Well, your mind has to get quieter, and your mind has to stop judging so much and then go the other way. So you can start having subtle sensations come in. And maybe because you're a yogi, you can notice, like I can feel the skin less well when I go this way on this part of my body. Right? And that's part of what I'm looking for. Then I want you to lift up if you can, and if not, just like whatever you can come off the seat. But I want you to make length and feel length. Like, so there's like a hanging in your low back, right? That space then collapses when you sit back down. And then go back up and go, wait, can I keep some of that as I sit back down? How much does gravity have to collect me? Now I'm going to lean forward and lift your chest. Now, as you're starting to do this, ask yourself, are you tense in the inside of your mouth? Have you already shut down your organs of perception a little bit? Probably. That's okay. You just suck as a yogi. No, everything takes practice. I catch my instructions come from how I'm doing it wrong all the time, right? And then go back over the back of your chair. So now, what kind of awareness is required for me to be more conscious? And don't do this if you're dizzy, get dizzy, but how do I lengthen from this part of my chest underneath my chin as a way to take my head back? And when I do that, what do I hear? Can I feel my sitting bones in my feet more? Turns out, yes. When I move a little slower and then come back, right? And lean over to the right. Now, I hope that you, as you lean over and are doing yoga, this type of consciousness, now imagine trying to read a book while you're doing this. Could you do yoga as well if you're reading a book right now? No. You need to go inward and soften. So you need not to focus your eyes. Now lengthen from your sternum up to from your pubis bone up towards your sternum. Broaden this way. Lengthen out the top of your head, but stay inward and outward. So I can't tell you, and then go and come back to center. I can't tell you how long, and before I did yoga, I only thought movement was movement. I just thought I was just moving. Now go the other way. I just kind of would go, yeah, what do you want? Is this, so a beginning yoga usually gets impatient, like, come on, I want more. But wait, oh my God, the universe is here. The whole bunch of, all of yoga is here as I lean over and start to move inward enough to feel more subtlety, right? This is a time where you have to be allowing that there's more sensation. So I want to feel both sides of my rib cage, both sitting bones, both heels, and then come on back to center. And then lift up again, right? And then you're going to go this way. Now, can you keep this inward focus? Keep the softness of the skin on your face. Lengthen this way, Feel both sides of your rib cage. Open here and on the underside, right? It's hard once you're leaned over. This side gets covered up, right? In order to get to this side, guess what? I'm having to soften my organs of perception. I'm having to quiet my mind down. Now I want it to become more expansive. Take your arm up. Now take your arm down. Now see if what's true for me isn't also true for you, right? When I take my arm up in a second, when my chest is lifted and I'm expanding, when I take my arm up, I can actually feel my legs more, right? So I'm not just taking my arm up, I'm allowing a vastness in every movement. So as I extend and open here, I try to feel that in terms of my right foot and right hip. I'm allowing that there may be connections in my nervous system that my mind isn't used to hearing, but my brain is receiving. Guess what? That game operation where the nose bone's connected to the ankle bone, it's all true. It's actually all true. We're a unified organism, right? Our minds are able to leave the body. That's the difference, right? Our body stays connected and then go the other way. And so you're feeling all this, and lengthen. Then you take the arm up, and hopefully you feel that space in your low back from hanging, and you haven't forgot that sensation. And at first you just think, oh, the yoga pose is to take my arm up. No, and then take your arm down. The yoga pose, the fuller yoga pose, was to, as you open here, to feel it everywhere else. Take your arm up again. Bring the shoulder girdle, the shoulder blade down, lengthen out through the arms. Feel the skin on your upper arm lengthening. Use that connection between a sturdy here and a stretching here. Use that connection to breathe into your legs, right? So you actually are using a movement in one place and allowing that it's connected to the whole place. Good, and then release. And then come on back to center. So one of the things that I learned in Shavasana, okay, was that the empty space in me is actually already unified with every part of my body. Okay, now that comes from Shavasana, not from being able to do a whole bunch of different things physically. That I had to, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that level of connection that comes from allowing that sensation is all modulated throughout your whole body, right? So again, lift up, because if you're feeling, if you're sitting all the time and you're compressing your low back, you're not going to feel as much connection between your spine and your legs, which is why there are things like dog pose and all the standing poses are trying to get you to separate and differentiate your legs from your spine. All right, so now I want you to back up a little bit, or I'm backing up so you can see, pardon me, you don't have to back up a little bit. That's me talking to me, right? And I want you to take your legs a little bit wider. And so you're changing your base, right? And now I could think that this is not important action and wait for the next instruction. Or I could let this change teach me because my base has changed. Now, for me, it's probably easier because I don't have my legs wide very often. Some of you that can walk around better than me or can walk around at all, this doesn't seem like fireworks. It's like fireworks, but I'm gonna mark it. I want you to like take the inside of your arms and broaden, push out. Now, as this space is getting open and your groins are getting lengthened some, lift your chest. Now ground your sitting bones and extend out beyond your knees. Take a couple of breaths and then release. So here's one of the paradoxes in yoga poses always. I say it in the trainings I give to yoga teachers a lot, for yoga teachers, is like there's no such thing as a one-way street in yoga. Okay, so I want you to again do what we just did. And I now told you to extend out beyond your knee in the air as you lift your chest. Right, so it seems like I'm just telling you to go one direction, but like every single yoga pose, that's not true. It's not just going in one direction. So take your right hand and push back with your hand on your knee if you can. Push it back, your femur bone, that back towards your femur bone. As that energy is going back, I want you to push into your hand. And I want your mind to be aware of both. Both you pushing this way and feeling it come back towards your spine. When you feel both directions, does anyone feel that there's an opportunity to lift your chest better? Yep. And then you got to do the other side, right? So you've got this weird thing where I want you to push back your femur bone and push into your femur bone. Register both with the part of you that allows. Your mind will not be able to understand how it's getting this sensation of going in two directions. Your mind is not in charge here. Sensation is. So you're feeling that pressure back towards, you're observing that with your mind, and you're pushing out into your knee. And you're using that two-way street to help you lift your chest and breathe. And then release and sit in the center for a second. So because I like to keep moving in poses, bring your legs back together. Just like in traditional classes, people come back to Tadasana, right? So then I'm gonna like mark my midline by pushing in my femur bones and my knees, because I wanna find my midline. Because when my legs have been wide, this awareness tends to leave a little bit. So I'm grounding my legs and finding my midline. And notice I'm coming forward to do that, and I'm lifting my chest, which, so you're not that far from like upward facing dog and a whole bunch of things. But I'm wanting to find where I am so I can keep this part of me with me as my body gets into more space. So then take your legs wide again. So as you're moving like this, the constant check-in is, are you keeping your organs of perception soft? Right? That's one. Are you feeling spaces around you in the room? So again, I'm feeling the space here. Now, I'm going to lean over to one side. Now, here's a chair here if I wanted it, but I'll just go on my elbow because some of you don't have a chair there. Right, so now I feel what this feels like and lift my chest. Now I come back. Now I'm going to put my hand on my knee and come over. I got to figure out how to do this, right, so I don't fall over. And now I'm going to push into my hand, push my hand into my knee, and lift my chest. And feel what it's like to have activation in this back leg. Okay? And then release. So now I want to keep that feeling this way and this way, and take my arm up. Right? So now I want you to get this goes this way, this goes this way, this goes open. And you have to not just imagine this stuff, frickin' feel it. It's already true. Breathe into what's true. Good, and then release. Now you're gonna sit in the center again, and you're gonna push in on this knee. Remember what this feels like. Now you're gonna change gravity, push into this back knee. Feel that sensation of grounding. Open the spine, right? Now push your knee into your hand. Keep that more action. Take the arm up, right? So this goes up and your legs are working like crazy. Breathe. Feel. Release. Come back to the midline. Bring your legs back together. I can tell you that if I had just seen my experience as the loss that I was being told about, being told to accept, I never would have become a yoga student, right? But what's interesting is that I had to find, and we've all had to find as adaptive yoga students, like a third way. It's not that I didn't accept that I couldn't feel my legs in the same way that someone didn't have a spinal sever cord. And if I thought about having to accept that, I would have pushed to find the next space. You don't get to push to find the subtle dimensions of yoga. It doesn't happen that way. You have to allow it. And to allow, you're gonna have to figure out ways to learn how to put your brain in neutral. Make your brain, literally your brain, passive, while your mind is being active with moving your body. So as we go to close here a little bit, great way to make your brain passive is to put reference, put your hand if you can, right? And if you can't, like Michael, if you can't put it easily on your forehead, just feel like you had a coin pressing against right between on your forehead, above your eyebrow, right? So just lightly put your heel of your hands on the bridge of your nose. Your fingertips are near your hairline. And just gently calm down your judging mind with the presence of your hand. From this calmer feeling in your mind, in your brain, feel where your whole body is. Notice your breath. Notice symmetry. Each foot, each knee, each sitting bone, each shoulder. But take that into a more passive brain. Your wholeness does not come from overcoming, it comes from allowing. The hope of yoga is to get more of you. The hope of asana is to get more of you, and then take your hand down and release, is to get more of you in your action. So we're just going to do a really quick shavasana. So I want to feel symmetry. But again, so it's like the first part of shavasana is like water hitting the floor, kind of. You just kind of landing in it, and then let it spread out. Let it find its quiet. So you just drop and spread. Soften your jaw, the inside of your mouth. Shavasana is in every single pose. This level without your judging mind, though. In a pose, your mind has to be active. In Shavasana, your mind's trying to be active and your brain's trying to be neutral. So again, sob around the temples, the inside of the mouth, and feel the support of your chair. Start to bring yourself back. The spark. Follow the inhalation, a little deeper inhalation, a little longer exhalation. When you're ready, open your eyes. If it's too quick, close your eyes again, and then choose to open them. So one of the things that's been interesting for me is, now I've 55 and some of the changes that come with age, and I find a lesson that I learned from being disabled is like becoming more and more important, that there's a big difference between allowing changes and accepting changes. And when I can find the space, when I allow rather than accept, my senses are more alive. My mind isn't squeezing what's around me, right? And so I hope that in your yoga practice, for sure, it doesn't mean you're not supposed to work hard. It means you're supposed to have more broth in the soup, right? As you're trying to move and navigate your life, right? And it comes from a whole different relationship. And it turns out a whole bunch of weird things will be shown in yoga. It's like when you start being more aware of your skin, you'll start to allow more. When you start to feel your bones more, you'll start to be able to allow more. Like there are all these things that what I love so much about yoga is these insights that seem psychological are not psychological, they're literal. They actually happen when you include your body. And your body has way more intelligence than you know. No matter what it's not doing right for you, oh my God. Like when Jenny was talking about the present and the now, Your body's always in the now, by the way. Always. It's now. Your mind goes all over the place, right? Your presence of your body is the now. So I'll stay on for a while, but thanks for joining in. Keep the next one. Does anyone have the date in front of them? I don't even know what it's about right now, but no, I got to tell you, these are the most challenging things I do. When I prepare for these, oh my goodness, I'm the most nervous and I'm the most worried that I'll be saying things that I'll be all alone in saying. Because you're the ones that have the greatest hope of hearing what I'm saying because you already live it. And that actually increases the pressure to me because gosh, if I can do it right, I'll actually feel company. So September 22nd, finding your voice. Yikes. What's the relationship between your voice and your spine, by the way? Do you know you talk out of your mouth, which is the top of your spine? You know that Patanjali wrote a book on grammar? What the hell? What are those crazy yogis talking about? Yeah, that's what we'll be talking about next time. Finding your voice in relationship to a effed up world that asks you in Target how you have sex. Because all I can do is repeat that. I got no rejoinder for that one. That's a happening you just can't make up, right? All right, everybody, we'll stay on for a continued discussion, but thanks for joining us. Come to the next one on September 22nd. And if you have any comments about this, please write to us. Please let us know, right? That would be great.